getting shot at the flat line, then let's quit.
Okay, everybody clear.
Officer Alex Murphy shot to death in the line of duty.
Legally, he's dead. We can pretty much do what we want.
There's a new guy in town. His name's RoboCop.
I think once we got to like the last 4 episodes, I was like, I'm done taking notes. My hands hurt.
My notes, let's see, I was actually doing pretty good until I got to the last 4. I just wrote like a couple notes for each, because at that point I felt like, I think we're ending. It feels like the show is coming to an end, literally.
Did they know, or did they have any inclination like their ratings were not going to be all that in a bag of chips?
I have no idea. Like I said, this was a syndicated show, so they shot the 22 episodes as they did. If they had an idea it probably wasn't going to work out, they might have actually, my guess is they might have actually shot a better ending or switched up the episode order.
Yeah, cool. I mean, there is that one snafu with episodes 4 and 5,
which is very weird, but I do remember that actually a little bit. Once you brought it up, I'm like, oh shit, that's right.
I almost went back and watched them again, but I was like, I think we're getting the gist of it.
Well, because you reminded me, I actually went ahead and watched episode 5 first, then went back to episode 4, and it plays a whole lot better. Instead of feeling like the 5th episode is flashback, and it doesn't play like a flashback.
No, it doesn't. They made creative choices, none of which were necessarily bad. I've got 3 computers running at the station now, plus the tablet, and I'm feeling like super adultish.
Yeah. We're adulting now.
Yeah, we are. Talking about RoboCop.
We have watched their 90s science fiction show, and we're about to do the cartoon.
You know what, though? I'm so not sad that we did. It was fun.
No, yeah.
Like, I expected it to be just like a hot, steaming pile of trash. And it was quite the opposite. It reminded me of watching The Flash. So I was like, well, okay, this is
the
fun.
90s Flash with Mark Hamill?
Yeah. Like,
I remember that.
That was a very fun time for television. Like,
I liked that show.
Yeah, the Persian Gulf ended so many fucking like good TV shows around the time, like this, Flash, well, not this, Flash, Dark Shadows. Shit, I can't think of what else. I want to say there was something that they were going to want to do with the Incredible Hulk that fell through.
Probably.
But anyway, CNN's ratings were just like destroying everybody. So they started canceling shit and focusing more on Storm and Norman.
Maybe people want to continue their escape and they just needed a break from the news. You could have just stuck with the plan for one more season for everything else, then dealt with it after the fact. You knew what the prices were for everything. Most things were not in a contract here.
No, that's true. And you know what? I think that they did pretty well with the budget that they had. Like we were saying on Zero Point the other day, yeah, you could tell there's certain points where you're not looking at anything metallic, plasticky, or glossy whatsoever. You're looking at somebody wearing spandex with the foam rubber suit on. And there's a lot of that in this. Like you could tell he's wearing flip-flops.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you could suspend that moment of disbelief, it's a lot of fun. It comes off like a cross between a comic book and a Saturday morning cartoon. Like they couldn't have the violence, so they had the weird supervillains instead.
Yeah, it was basically a Batman's rogue gallery going on with this one, and did they mine the mud hill with like Pudface or
Pudface.
Oh my God.
The first time I heard that, I was like writing down Buttface. I'm like, that's funny. And then I heard it again. They say his name again. I'm like, wait, did they say butt or no? You could say Pud on TV, and you could tell it's like it wasn't an accident. They were calling him Pudface. He has a penis for a fucking nose.
Totally disfigured guy. And in case you haven't figured it out, we are talking 1994's RoboCop the series. It is RoboCop month for us, and welcome back. This is Jeff and Kev. Here we are.
Howdy, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the violence as much as we are.
Or lack thereof of this show. Because as you were just talking about, it's like, man, they nerfed them a little bit in this. And and when we get into the cartoon next, we're going to see how much they nerf it even more. Poor RoboCop. All he does is he does bank shots. He doesn't kill anybody. He doesn't he does injure people, but it's very unintentional. It's like he goes out of his way to take out the bad guys. He doesn't shoot anybody. It's like, who programmed him with who gave him the Batman protocol, but really went to the nth degree extreme of, I don't kill anybody. I don't even try and hurt him.
I know, he's got this ginormous fucking machine pistol that shoots like little taser darts or like Batman or spider tracers and shit.
Yeah, the tracking gun, his regular gun, which he barely uses, and when he does, he doesn't really get anything. He's just hitting things to drop on people, and it's like, man, RoboCop, since they're playing off RoboCop 1, the least they could do is have him shoot some legs, you know? Oh, I can't kill him.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to hurt him. I'm going to disable them. Like, motherfuckers, shoot the bitches.
And we'd seen that 3 years prior in Terminator. It worked out fine.
Yeah, and even in RoboCop 2, he's still shooting on bitches. Yeah, they toned down the gore, but he was still shooting the bitches. And badass with it, too. There's a lot of badass things he was not doing in this show. You know, the one cool badass thing he did was when, in episode 21, when the van's charging at him in the final showdown with Pudface, and he just sidesteps it and shoves the van over on its side. And I'm like, where the hell was this the whole freaking show? Because in other scenes, he just lets him run right into him, and he either rolls right over the car, or the car smashes against him, and he's not moving. It's very random, the laws of physics with RoboCop in this show.
Or injects himself into a fucking semi truck playing chicken with them.
Oh my God.
Spear or clothesline the fucking guy driving.
Which didn't rip the dude's head off, which if you literally had a RoboCop coming at you, your head is at least squashed like a melon, like Gallagher at a concert, his comedy concerts, or you just lost your head.
You just lost your head, which again is just like a Gallagher concert.
Pretty much.
But I mean, they made up for the lack of violence in some ways. You couldn't forgive the lack of violence as a whole, but they got a little creative with the police work.
They did.
I mean, there's a little bit more detective work that you see in here. There's more philanthropy than you'd see in the movies.
To say the least. Man, they made the old man nerf too. They made him like super friendly and happy to help RoboCop, and but at least we did get a little more corporate espionage going on, and like you had said, the more police work. So everybody in the police force had a little more of a role in the show, which for this kind of a show, you need the ensemble going. So you had the sergeant, you had Madigan, you had a whole slew of a cast to play from, and everybody was used very, very well. I will give credit for that.
Oh yeah, this series, I'm surprised that I'd never really heard of it before, and I'm not surprised that most people haven't heard of it before. But it clicks, it works. Like I'm sad I didn't see this initially.
I did. Well, to a point. I watched it when it first aired. It was in syndication for a lot of people. So if you hadn't heard of this is probably why. Now, I have heard from a friend recently, this is on Tubi, and so you can watch it that way. But you can also get like a new Blu-ray DVD set. Buyer beware, there's some cropping issues with the Blu-ray release that I was not totally aware of, but you still get a good quality overall. Just some of the pictures a little cut off. But, a lot of people wouldn't know this. It wasn't on an actual network. So it was in your local markets, and they paid for it, and they might have put it on Saturdays or Sundays at some weird times. That's how a lot of us ended up watching Star Trek The Next Generation when we were growing up. It was on our local TV affiliate. For me, it was Fox. But for some of my friends in other states and cities, it was CBS, it was ABC, it was NBC.
Yeah, I want to say it was ABC for us. Like I had no idea that like Star Trek would end up being a CBS deal.
You're right.
But yeah, this I always thought, or would have had the inclination that I missed this maybe because it was on Sci-Fi and I just didn't have Sci-Fi at the time. But no, I don't even think it had been on there at that point yet either, or at all.
I do not believe this show ever appeared on Sci-Fi Channel. I'm a little surprised since this was a Canadian shot show, because at that time, a lot of the space, because in Canada, they have a channel called Space. It's basically the Sci-Fi Channel of Canada. And they would air quite a bit of the science fiction shows that they were producing up there, including shows eventually like Stargate SG-1. And so a lot of those, they shared co-production value, so they got to air it on there, and it would also come down to Sci-Fi Channel down here. This one, kind of around the same time as like Earth Final Conflict, as we would eventually see a guest star in here from Earth Final Conflict, and then Forever Night, all shot in Toronto. This is where this was largely shot. So you had a lot of the Toronto and Vancouver casts appearing in RoboCop. But why it didn't appear on Sci-Fi Channel, I don't know. It might have been an MGM sort of deal. I'm not sure. Or if it did and I don't know about it. I never heard about it. And I watched Sci-Fi Channel from 96 to about 2000 and whenever Stargate Universe got canceled. That's about when I stopped.
Oh, I want to say I stopped in 99. And that was just because I went to college, and
that was that.
Yeah, and like everything like life altering happened at that point. And that, dear children, was the last time Kevin watched TV for a decade.
And the last time you want to go to college, because things change at college. Just warning. Here's our public service announcement.
That's
Don't go
true.
to college.
Don't go to college. It's a waste of money.
Well, you put yourself in debt. And if you're willing to pay that debt when you're out of college, that's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got friends that are actual doctors and shit that are still like have no way possible to pay their fucking loans off.
They want to work for OCP. I hear they need some criminal minds.
Criminal minds. Abby something.
Because that's all that seemed to be going on in this show is everybody that worked at OCP was a fucking criminal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd written it down too. Like every bad guy either works for OCP or is affiliated with OCP somehow. Like that dude Chip at the beginning, working with Cray Millardo. Oh, excuse me, Cray Z Millardo.
Yep, like let's emphasize the crazy.
That was funny as shit. I had to rewind it. I'm like, did I just see that right?
Yeah, and I had to look it up. I actually looked it up. I'm like, is that actually spelled the way I think it is? And yeah, it is.
That could have just been the stupidest thing that I'd ever seen and make me like instantly want to turn this shit off. But it made me laugh. Like it didn't take itself seriously in any way, shape, or form. And I appreciated it for that.
Right.
I mean, we've got, like you said, a list of rogues that all mirror a Batman or Flash bad guy in some ways. Like again, Dr. Millardo is very much Lex Luthor. Pudface would be your Joker or Penguin type character. And they don't get along, but they work well together so they could, have that coexisting goal of killing RoboCop and fucking everybody up in Delta City.
Well, they don't even get to that till the very end of the season, when what should have been the season finale.
Agreed. And this is just another one of those times where it reinforces my point that every show that ends needs to either end at the series or the season before the last season or the episode before the last episode. Like they always fuck up the very end of a series.
Unless you want to end with some weird ass cliffhanger, which nobody asked for. Nobody should design for that. Some shows do that on purpose. Some shows don't. It's when you're in this era, you were always designing your show to be self-sustained because you didn't know if you were going to get another season or not. Not every show is Star Trek The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, where the wheel keeps turning, the machine keeps going. RoboCop was a bit of a gamble to go TV show and try and bring in like a more mainstream audience, especially with like younger kids. Like, yeah, this kind of fit in my wheel well. Yeah, I was 94. I was in freaking high school at this point. And, I caught this and was like, this is a little kidified, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if they have certain aspects to the series or in the ensemble that you'd see in a comic book, like little kid characters, completely fucking unnecessary for RoboCop as a franchise. But this is a family show, so you do have to have kids in it, so kids watching at home can relate to somebody. And they got like, I don't want to say the worst kids they could possibly find. They just made the worst choices of writing these kids
and directing them.
Yeah, like it's
I
really
never blame actors in these situations. It's how they were directed and how it was written.
agreed. But I mean, there were so many times where Jimmy Murphy, Alex's son,
Ugh.
makes some comment like, I hate the law and I hate you, and turns around and goes running into the fucking night screaming, ah!
And I'm going to join any number of the next 3 gangs I'm going to join is because I have a problem with my daddy. So I got daddy issues.
That's why I wear this
bro.
beret.
That's why I joined the cavalry gang. I mean, god damn. I'm like, oh, how they did that character. Just, I don't know, after like 5 episodes of him, I'm like, if this is it for the whole season? I don't remember this, but dear God, end this. And luckily, at about the halfway mark, we stop enough with the Jimmy episodes, and we only get 2 in the back half. So the show does seem to figure out its mistakes and try to correct them. But then we get the 1 episode with Gadget, and it makes her really fucking annoying. And I'm like, okay, the 1 kid you had in this show that was working for me, you messed up towards the very end of the show because of how stupid she was trying to find her birth mother.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I did like the episode, but her attitude was just, that's not realistic at all. Even in the confines of a fictional TV show like RoboCop.
Yes, like even Annie was more realistic. And that episode very much was inspired by Annie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The
You're not parents, my daddy.
That, god damn, I'd heard that so many times growing up from like mixed parents or mixed families with stepkids.
Yeah.
And you'd always be sitting there all awkward, like, do I run? Do I just sit here and like nobody sees me?
And wait for when somebody leaves so I can go get out of here myself?
Yeah, right. I don't want to see you get your ass kicked, but have a good one.
Yeah.
But going back to that character, I had a hard time not calling her Ratchet or Ratched.
Which would have been a good name too.
Ratchet.
But I liked Gadget because it was a play on her full name of Gertrude.
Oh, is that what it was?
I thought was horrible as the first name. Yeah, her name was Gertrude.
Yeah, because remember the mom was calling her Gertie or something like that.
Yep. Who ended up actually being her mother, which I kind of predicted that, but
wait, the Miss Hannigan lady?
No, the Sally Modano in the Mother's episode.
Oh, okay.
Who was the criminal who was working for the guys and claimed she was her mother, but she's like, no, she's really not my kid. Nope, she really is your kid. You two look alike.
Yeah, they flip-flop that back and forth.
Yeah, they played around too much with it. They didn't need to, but the ending paid off. So at least the episode did that. Because they all agreed, like, don't tell her I'm actually her mother. Let her continue on with this. I'm a bad person. I did bad things. You continue to take care of my kid because she's doing great with you.
I'm sure OCP really enjoys fostering your child.
Police pension pay for her when her foster dad goes.
Yeah, right.
Although they made that a point of an episode too, police pension.
Yeah, they got preachy with a few episodes. Like there was like a moral or theme to each episode.
Well, the last episode was all about suicide. Like, wow, RoboCop, that's how you want to go out.
Kinda. Whereas the last episode prior to that ends with his dad basically saying, Alex, I know it's you, which would have made me a little weepy inside had it been like performed a little bit better. But like that was a beautiful enough scene to have just capped off the story right there. Like he didn't have to tell Nancy, didn't have to tell Jimmy or his mom. He had that one person in his family that he had a connection with.
And who could keep everything on the down low because he would understand what role that would have on the family because he was a former police officer himself.
Yeah, and chess player.
That was pretty funny.
I mean, it made sense, him knowing the moves.
Yeah.
But it's not like there's so many moves in chess that only one person knows that move.
You'd have to invent something brand new for that.
Like a whole extra row or an extra fucking pawn. But I mean, it was basically the chess moves were this series' version of the TJ laser spinning the fucking pistol around. It was a dead giveaway that was Murphy. And why the dad hadn't seen that in the first episode, I don't know. Like, he did, but I don't think he wanted to believe it, maybe.
Probably. It's like, well, he's known his son has been dead for like 3 years, because that's the timeline on the show, is 3 years after the events of RoboCop 1.
Yes, which was amazing because they had Delta City pretty much all finalized at that point. So
Yeah.
it's like, wow, OCP works really fast.
Hey, they were ready to burn down the city in the first movie, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, just completely raise it over. Big old plows.
Boddicker 1, Detroit 0.
You know, speaking of which, I had to make a note of it. Like, this series had a very sore hole where Clarence should be. Like,
Yeah.
the crime in Delta City is not nearly as gritty as the crime in old Detroit was.
Bunch of thieving. That's what's going on. It's all a bunch of thieves. Like, there's no murders. There's nothing else going on. It's always a heist job in every episode.
And that's not bad. I mean, really, that's what comic books used to be up until like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
You could have 101 stories of Spider-Man going after the fucking Vulture because he's trying to steal another fucking machine from another business or rob another bank for whatever. Like, there's not a shortage of things that you can do with that.
No, and they did find a good formula. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, none of the episodes were bad or good, or it's the same thing over and over and over again. They always did do something a little bit different with each one. So it was enjoyable to that point. It never got old.
No, it didn't. And I don't think there was a bad episode in the whole series or the whole season. Maybe that last one.
Yeah, that was not great.
And there were certain moments that were too stupid for me to fucking like enjoy. Specifically, Nancy and Jimmy being on welfare.
Oh God, that's my episode of this is. I wrote down, this is fucking stupid. Nancy is, I don't know. I always got the impression watching the first RoboCop, even the second RoboCop, Nancy does not look like some stupid blonde who doesn't know how to take care of herself. Like, you're really telling me Alex Murphy, a good tried and true cop, and don't get to me on that female feminism episode later on. I'm ignoring that for this point right here. But he wouldn't have married some dumbass. She looks like she could take care of herself in the first 2 movies, for Christ's sake. She's smart, she's intelligent. She's clearly she has to move on and take care of her kid. She would do whatever she needed to do. Welfare pension, she would have gotten a fucking attorney. It's not like Grandpa couldn't have helped with that a little bit, but like, because once they introduce him, I'm like, where the fuck was he in that pension episode? He's still a police officer collecting his pension, and he couldn't do nothing about this? Like, what the fuck? That's like the one episode that actually legitimately irritated me, because you took characters that, while they weren't very well defined in the movies, they at least gave you the impression Nancy knew what the fuck she was doing. She was a policeman's wife, for fuck's sake. She could handle shit. They made her look like she could barely handle a Twinkie in this.
Kinda, specifically with that episode.
Yeah.
Like, and she was a drawn out character. Like, Murphy's wife shows up in real life once for all of like a minute in RoboCop 2.
Right.
And then they fucking nix that shit in the butt and go directly for the meat and potatoes of the story. They didn't do that here. They had his family be reoccurring characters. Like, that's his partner's new BFF.
Right.
And it gets really hard. And I know that there's only so many things that they could do, and there's only so many characters that they could do that with. But again, showing that she's doing okay for herself before that episode, then you find out that she's what's called a wage hog in a sweatshop.
Oh my God. None of you could see this, but I'm literally face palming thinking about this episode.
Wage hog.
Oh God.
And then the next episode, they're living in a nice house again. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, at least at that point, you could feel like OCP is trying to make good, because they did figure out what was going on, and they probably gave her like a big settlement offer on top of it to just be like, please don't sue us.
To us.
Like, here's his pension times 3, and he's still actively working for us. So hey, we'll throw you a bone here, without telling him that he actually still is alive and working for him.
You know, I don't think it would have been a horrible thing had he come clean with that. I understand why he didn't, and I prefer the version of Murphy that doesn't want his family to know to the version that we're going to see on Sunday for 0 Point. Everyone knows who he is, like everyone, and we thought that was okay with the first movie because it was the cops. That's fine. His family, like, he never wanted them to know, and like pretty much everyone does at this point, except for Nancy and Jimmy.
Yeah, or his mother.
Oh, that's right.
She does not know either, but she even didn't play stupid like Nancy did, because even later on, you know, that voice, that one episode with the old man's ex-girlfriend coming back after 10 years and with the BBB. You remember that one? With the girl with the claw.
Yeah.
I wrote down Mistress Claw from Inspector Gadget.
See,
in that episode, the grandmother was like, he wrote a sheet of paper. I don't know why they bringing him in on these ceremonies. He didn't do the work for it, but whatever.
Whatever. She made me want to watch The Tick. I don't know why, but that character made me think of Miss Lint.
Okay.
And I was like, shit, we got to watch that again soon.
Yes.
But everybody was so goofy in this show, and I didn't mind it. Like, it was a lot of fun.
Just got to know what you're getting into with RoboCop. Don't be expecting like you're getting a Showtime, HBO, or whatever RoboCop show. Getting a show that was syndicated and played to mainstream audiences. So, got to think more like 60s Batman, but updated for the 90s.
Very much so. That is the best thing you could compare it to. That and The Flash. Like, very contemporary is not the word I'm thinking of. They were very similar in the fact that they were just fun. Nothing complicated. It was just a fun show to watch for an hour.
Yep.
And really, there was no long-lasting plot that they had to get to. It was just like an organic moment that ended it, except for that final episode.
All right. They should have moved the episodes around, unlike what they did early on in the show, where they put the 5th episode and 4th episode and they switch places. So when you watch the 4th episode, you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Oh, it's in the next episode. Something happened with the airing of those episodes, because I vaguely remember that from back in the day too. But a lot of times, a lot of these syndicated networks would air episodes out of order for some of these shows, and it would make no sense as long as they kept the first couple and the last couple together. If they could interchange, they would interchange. They would never follow like a sheet. If they did, somebody actually watched the show before they aired it and were like, actually, they're supposed to be switched around.
Let's just do this and move it.
It's going to be a flow chart.
You know, I mean, that does make the best story arcs, of course, for TV. But then you get all that horrible filler in the middle. And sometimes filler is really hard to watch. You get really bored with it. And then sometimes you don't even notice it at all. And that
the Roddy Piper episode.
Yeah. I mean, it does commingle with everything else, because Commander Cash is in pretty much every episode.
Just about.
Yeah. And so to have a professional like Hot Rod come in to portray him, where you don't even see his face through most of the episode, was just amazing. Like, you really kind of had, if you're a fan of Rowdy Piper, his voice is unmistakable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the fact that he was saying nice things and getting people to do positive things will totally throw you for a loop in this.
Kids, everything is free.
Yeah, go have fun. Where, you're used to Hot Rod fucking smashing a coconut over somebody's fucking head,
wearing his leather jacket and creating all sorts of hell.
Fighting Gold Dust in a fucking backlot alley.
Dude, love that match. As goofy as that was pretty good.
It was good television.
This was pretty good TV too for his episode, because when they actually gave the backstory to that character and who he really was, and it was in animated form, that was pretty sweet. I actually really dug that.
Yes, and the animation stuck very much to the type of styles that you'd see in the 80s.
Yes.
So it's like if you were an 80s kid and you know what it's like to have fucking everything marketed to you through commercials, this felt very natural and comforting. And I know it shouldn't be comforting, but it really is. Like, oh, hey, I want to buy that toy. Back when they used to be able to fucking hook you with ads.
It was like a Turbo Man toy if you like Jingle All the Way or something like that.
With really bad hair.
It actually reminded me of Captain Quark from the Ratchet and Clank shows a little bit, Commander Cash, because of the green outfit and the oversized chest and everything.
Yeah, I could see that. I
mean, that had not even come out yet either, was Ratchet and Clank at that point. So kind of wonder if they maybe got a little inspiration or not from this.
Well, see, that's kind of the thing. Like there's a lot of points in this show where it's like, oh gosh, they predicted this or they ripped that off. And it's really kind of hard to tell which it is.
Well, and they predicted stuff kind of like the first two movies. They predicted shit that's still relevant today to topical conversations and for just the way the world is, which was oddly funny. I'm like, oh my God, that is so happening today. They're making jokes about a female president who is a female president in this show, and that's still a conversation today.
Oh, absolutely. And then when they try to get progressive and have the X-Men episode where you've got angry feminazis over here and you've got women who just need and want the respect and suffrage over here, and there's proper ways to get that respect. So I mean, you very much have an X-Men versus Brotherhood of Evil Mutants story going on there, and it was, some of it was just hard to watch. I mean, that episode kind of dragged on.
That was something that could have been not needed. They didn't really need to go into that, I don't think. Not that it's a bad story point, but just how it was executed, it wasn't fitting with the show.
And it didn't do anything to help ladies get any sort of respect whatsoever. Even with your so-called badass angry ladies that was holding Nancy hostage or whatever, they were sitting there in sports bras and shit. Like, that's not empowering.
Oh, I mean, with a better script, and maybe actually keep RoboCop out of that episode for once. Like, make him be like in a sleep mode and you can't reactivate him for like 12 hours. Then everybody else has to work on what's going on. That would have been all right to do too. You don't need, you can have RoboCop for like literally 2 minutes in the episode and let freaking Madigan carry the episode. She can carry the show. She was just fine as a character.
I think she had probably the most strongest performance in the whole series.
Between her and Andrea Roth, I thought, who was Diana.
I missed how she got killed and put into that machine, but it's like, oh,
you need to rewatch the pilot then.
Yeah, it's like, okay, she's OMAC. That's cool. She's the brain in charge of this computer that OCP uses to control everything automated in the city.
Yep.
So she is like at one with everything, the traffic lights, the regular lights, the phones, everything. And they don't want to say that she's in there because they won't understand what she means to their daily life.
Right.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, can't you just be thankful that she's fucking handling all that shit? You guys have great PR for everything else.
Well, I think it's more because of her how she relates to RoboCop and him to her.
Yes, and the old man as well. Like, Boner knows who she is. And there's 1 or 2 episodes where it's like she will come to Boner and say, Alex needs your help.
Right.
And unlike Boner in the movies, the old man here is like gung-ho to fucking help and has the utmost respect and faith in Alex.
Right. Yet he keeps doing the same stupid shit over and over again and claiming, oh, I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know this was happening.
Which you believe him, though. I mean, really, because... This chairman is not the cocksucker that the chairman was from the original series.
Yeah, no,
really. Movies. he was nicer. He was a lot more naive. Yes, he was cutthroat, but he was still nice and naive at the same time. Like, he was one of those people that felt that educated folks couldn't be criminals. You know, like with Jack the Ripper, no one with an education could have committed crimes like that. That's not how educated people work. And he makes that mistake like 3 or 4 times in the season. And you're like, fuck, old man, just don't trust nobody except for fucking RoboCop, Madigan, and the Chief.
Right?
And certainly stay away from Gadget when she's got the fucking lottery ticket.
hide your coins, your Ronald Reagan dollars.
The Ronnies.
That was pretty funny. I did get a kick out of things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that shit. I mean, where there's tongue-in-cheek gags to be had, I'm usually a happy boy.
Oh my God, the news anchors, like, for one, like, they were on point every single time in every single episode. I have more quotes down from them than anybody else during this show. It's completely hilarious. Especially, I know I don't even like the last episode, but even when Bo says, "Oh, I'm going to be tuning in for this live execution too," I'm just like, this is freaking great. And they linger on him for an extra little smirk in his eye, like, yeah, I'm watching this shit.
Party over here.
And Rocky herself was funny as hell too half the time. You know, they were cracking jokes about like executives abusing their power, and she's like, "Are you really surprised?" And it's like, Jesus Christ, this is awesome. I could have watched a whole show of them. Like, if they took the concept of RoboCop and just sent it to and just called it media, like RoboCop Media Break, and all you do is show like little clips of RoboCop doing badass shit for like in 30-second clips, but you actually use them as like a news for like stories, you could actually do more in the concept of Delta City and have that kind of sarcasm and snarkiness going on the whole time with it.
Oh, sure.
I don't know, just a thought.
No, I want to agree with you. Media Break was one of the best parts of each episode.
And then they upgraded their desk later too.
The desk. Everything got upgraded, and I think it was all the same set with just different furniture movements. But it worked. It worked. It was cheesy and campy, and the color scheme was like very much 90s.
Yes.
But it all worked. I don't know, maybe that added some authenticity to it. I don't know. It was comforting.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really gelled for this show, and it made it very, very fun.
Yeah. And again, the other thing that made it fun for me was making it like a comic book.
Yeah.
Like to the point even where you said there's a Legion of Doom episode.
Yeah,
like,
you got a kick out of that. I saw that.
That was so cool because that's exactly what it was. Like, Millardo gets everybody that's been a villain in like for however many episodes prior to do this heist on fucking RoboCop and kill him. And it's like he knows he has the files on how to like deprogram RoboCop. He knows how to derez fucking Diana. And he does it all from his prison cell. And it's just cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty good episode. My only comment on that particular episode is because he was faking being a psychic. And my one comment was when RoboCop like scanned him in front of the female president and for like 100% he's telling the truth 100%. I'm like, don't let him give a speech. Ask him questions. Throw him off his game. What are you doing just letting him talk? You're literally sitting there letting him do a speech. He's probably practiced 100 times getting ready for this.
Oh, yeah.
Ask him a question. Be specific. That's how you start tearing him apart. Oh my God. Ask a question. I wrote down ask a question story 3 times in a row on that episode.
The only time that I really, really dug his lie detectors was where they have to interview the mayor for something.
Yeah.
And no matter if the mayor was telling the truth or lying, because they had control questions, it always came up as
50%.
50-50. Yeah. He'd been a politician so long he couldn't tell the truth anymore.
Until it was revealed that he was sleeping with Bambi.
Oh, was he?
When she came into the room, because he's not supposed to be sleeping with that woman because he's married.
Ah.
That's when all of a sudden it went, bloop, there went the politic meter.
The politic meter.
It vanished. Because it showed off like, I'm his alibi. 100% truth for her. And he's like, oh, no, she wasn't there. And then it went from down to like 0. Like oh, dude. You got your freak on and it got you off. Literally.
Oh, shit. Oh, I'm looking at my notes. Nancy on the welfare. Gadget loves Jimmy. XOXO.
Well, if they were rebooting this freaking show, that's probably what it would be right now. Gadget and Jimmy married. They have a couple kids. RoboCop's been decommissioned. We need a new RoboCop. Delta City 2049.
And that's where I'm glad that they got to stop making episodes. Like, it didn't go on so long where things were really unbelievable. Like,
yeah,
this is not a show that's unbelievable because of the stupid shit that happens. I mean, like a show that's so unbelievable that like it's just wrong. Again, like Nancy not being able to figure out that Murphy is fucking RoboCop.
Like 9 times she's had a chance to figure it out. Like,
yeah,
really, bitch.
And the dad figures it out. Jimmy almost figures it out. Everyone else around them knows except for her.
Like the Superman thing. You take the glasses off, he's Superman. You put the glasses on, oh, he's just Clark Kent. He can't be Superman. Fuck that.
Yeah, right? Like Lois Lane had like 90% more to work with than Officer Lewis did, and Officer Lewis figured it out like years faster.
Yep, 3 years earlier.
Which I tell you what, though, it was a little off-putting not having Officer Lewis be the partner. But I very quickly began to like Lisa Madigan. Like her character was even cooler.
Yeah, I really like Madigan, and I know swapping roles out. Like they could have done a throwaway line where they said, it says transferred out of the department. She transferred. She passed away. Something. You don't have to have the same character. You could actually just be like, no, she's just not around anymore. She moved on, and they didn't even do that. They didn't reference Boddicker ever.
No,
they didn't reference like base. It's like they took 5 points from RoboCop, and they're like, okay, we're going to do these 5, but we're going to kidify.
Yes, like we want 12-year-olds to be able to watch this without their parents going nuts.
Yep, we want also RoboCop to drive under the speed limit, even though he's driving a goddamn Ford Mustang. I was driving Miss Daisy with RoboCop in every episode.
Yes, Miss Daisy, I be honking.
I must uphold the law. Speed limit is 25 in a school zone. This isn't a school zone.
Fuck
School's
it.
right up here, ma'am. Whatever.
They worked with a lot of good stuff, and they worked with a lot of bad stuff in this. It's just it all depends upon what episode you're watching, what mood you're in, and what your patience level is.
Yeah, because if you are really wanting something serious, this is not the show for you. Like one of my favorite episodes is, even though we're getting to a segment soon that we'll have a little fun with, but one of my favorite episodes is the one where Lisa gets to hook up with a magician. I really like that episode. Does it play into the context of the overall story like at all? Hell no. Is it goofy? Hell yes. Did I enjoy it? Oh God, yeah.
That fucking mask.
That was awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was cool looking. I'll definitely give you that. It was cool looking.
Yep.
Her shining moment for me was where she gets paralyzed.
Yes.
And can't move. Like that was
when they went for the serious moment, yeah.
And she did so well. It's like I wanted to see her in so many other TV shows from that because of that.
Yeah.
And it just didn't really happen that way. Like nobody on this show, except for the one gentleman that was in Demon Knight, like really went on to mass stardom. Maybe 1 or 2 cameos, but that's about it.
There's somebody from Demon Knight in this?
Not Demon Knight, Forever Knight.
Oh, there was actually a couple people from Forever Knight in the show.
Yeah, God, what was he?
Gary Wynn Davies?
Yeah, I can't remember what his character was though.
Oh, he was the lead.
Oh no.
But there was
blonde.
Oh, go ahead.
There was a blonde guy, I think.
Yep, that was Nigel Bennett, and he was one of the Cap people.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
And Blue Man Kuma, who was the sergeant, was also in Forever Night as well, because it's shot in Toronto. So Sargent was in it. And then let's see, Gary Owen Davies. And then there was somebody else that I kind of remembered, but I didn't write down who that was. So there was like 4 people from that show in RoboCop.
Oh, wow.
And Earth Final Conflict, Lisa Wilcox was in an episode. She was in the Roddy Piper episode. So Earth Final Contact fans, if you're interested to see her in a very different role, she was the blonde, the goofy blonde.
I'd buy that for $1, which was not said at once in this entire show.
Yep, that's another comment I wrote down. I'm like, you couldn't even reference, I'll buy that for $1.
I don't know. Like, was there a list of things that they could not say?
I do not know. They bought the rights to RoboCop, and you really can't reference that. I mean, yeah, they had the great Umberto,
who looks just like Jonah Ray, by the way.
Yeah, that was pretty funny with the mustache.
Shaved side of his head. He looks like Jonah.
Sorry, Jonah. I gotta agree on that one.
So if you're wondering what to do for Halloween this year, dude, definitely check out Umberto, who's supposed to be Geraldo.
He does like game shows and hard-hitting talk shows.
Hard-hitting talk shows. Some of the TV shows in this are pretty great. Like, it's illegal for you to interfere with the crime happening if a TV crew is filming it.
Inside crime.
Like, they get permits to film all these crimes, and if that's the case, the cops can't interfere until after the crime is committed. You're like, oh, okay, far out.
Play on cops, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sorry, another great cameo was Kim Coates from
there you go,
Sons of Anarchy, and he was also
Tig.
Mirror Master. Yeah, Tiggy, but he was Mirror Master in the Flash too, I think.
Yep,
I think so. But anyway, he's been in everything, and he's just fucking awesome, and no matter what he's in.
That's actually an episode I have listed down to discuss. Now,
okay,
Kevin, did you have any other points before I bring up our brand new segment?
Other than that episode I called the Winter Soldier episode.
I could actually see that.
So yeah, I think someone Brubaker was reading that or watching that when Bucky got brought back to life.
Very true, except he wasn't as stylish.
No, oh God, no.
Need that aluminum coat, buddy. Yeah.
I mean, there's good-looking shit for TV, and there's just really horrid-looking shit for TV. Yep. That's something that you'd be like, okay, Warner Brothers canceled it. I get it. No, like, he had a fucking slicker, a Mac that deflected bullets. It was so stupid. And they call him Tin Man, which will be referenced again Sunday.
Yep.
Which I don't know if that was just like marketing, like milking the Tin Woodsman fucking cow, or if that was a reference to this.
I have no idea.
But anyway, yeah, that's the last thing I had before we get to the next part.
All right, well, let's hit it. We got a brand new segment we are calling the 6-Pack Challenge, where you either pick the 6 best episodes that can tell the story of RoboCop in one shot, or you just pick 6 episodes and we discuss them. So, Kevin, do you want to go first or me?
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. I actually did episodes that you would watch if you wanted an abbreviated Cliff Notes version of RoboCop, the series. Or as my old DVD release says, RoboCop the beginning. It's not. But I would actually encourage everybody to start with the pilot episode. It's a 2-parter, so it runs long at about an hour and a half, but it basically sets a lot of things up going forward. And then I would actually have you go on to the episode number 6, Ghosts of War. That's a pretty good show where they talk about vets and like they reference an Amazon war that's going on, which plays into elements mentioned from previous episodes, but it's a good story episode. And then I would tell you to hit on over to When Justice Falls, OCP and the cryofuel merger that was going on. And they were trying to launch a new spaceship into outer space to work on their new communications device. So you had a very good corporate espionage style show going on, and it also had a Mr. Freeze style going on to it as well, especially with a kill at the end that is very shattering.
That's right. They did. They did. I wrote that one down too.
Yep. And then I would recommend people check out the Human Factor, which was the Mad Bomber episode where they introduced Robo's parents. I actually thought that was a really good character device. And, you know, they didn't overplay their hand on RoboCop's parents. They only showed up in a handful of episodes. This was a really good episode, pretty good anti-terrorism team that they were fighting. The only thing that was a little goofy about this one was Mr. Spider Venom hairline receding dude. And that's literally how I described him on my notes here.
Yeah, I got male pattern baldness with the spider on it.
Oh, yeah.
It was very hard to look at without picturing a urethra at the top of his fucking head. Like,
it looks so weird with the spider tattoo, basically from his forehead all the way to like quarter of the way through the top of his head that had the horseshoe kind of receding hairline going on. It was very odd.
It was kind of off-putting, like you couldn't stop staring at his head like it was a dick. Like somebody was walking around with their dick out on screen. You couldn't fucking turn away.
And he wore a hat half the time just to cover it up. So, bro, how proud of you of that spider tattoo were you? Then I just got two more. I would then recommend watching Tin Man, which talks about Murphy's old partner. And we were just talking about Tig from Sons of Anarchy in that one. That's an excellent episode. If you want an episode that'll give you a little bit of everything that this show can do and is capable of doing, absolutely check that one out. And then I would end with Midnight -1, which is the second to last episode where the Legion of Doom tries to take out RoboCop and the President of the United States of America, which is an excellent conclusion to the story. So for my six-pack challenge, check out Pilot, Ghosts of War, When Justice Fails, Human Factor, Tin Man, and Midnight -1. And that is your six-pack challenge.
All right. So for mine, like you, I started with the pilot where we find out it's been 5 years since Alex initially became RoboCop. Delta City is now fully built. We find out that Lisa Madigan is the partner instead of Officer Lewis. It plays off the whole trope of he doesn't want his family to know that he's alive. Introduction to Cray Z. Millardo, which again is very important because he's that reoccurring character that wants to make life hell for everyone. William Morgan plays villain Pudface.
Pudface.
A penguin villain that has a nose shaped like a dick on his face. Excuse me, a cancerous dick on his face.
If this was a movie, they probably would have just called him Dick Face or Dick Nose.
Yeah, I'm still, again, really surprised you could say Pud in 1994.
Pud!
Because, I mean, Pudwhacker
was in
definitely
like
a fucking...
10 episodes, swear to God.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was really hard to keep it down to 6, because you figure anytime that he's in there, that's part of the overall story. But he's there in the background doing shit so much where you're like, oh, God, he's just oversaturating it.
Like, they can't keep that man in jail.
Let's see, you find out Diana is used to run the OCP computer network that does all their lights and stuff like that. And then again, you learn the rest of the characters, Sarge, Gadget, Madigan. Skip ahead. I went to next to 4 and 5 because that was just a neat arc between the old man and how he views the world, the old man and how RoboCop interacts with things, and the old man and how he respects Alex as a man, not a machine.
Excellent choice. That was next on my list if I didn't have any others I wanted to pick.
And it was very mindful about talking about classism.
Yes.
I don't remember what the kid's name was. I kept calling him Little Jimmy because of R-Truth, but Little Jimmy's parents definitely represented the middle to lower class. Like if you were lower to middle class, you were an indentured servant and could never get ahead. And so like once they showed the old man that's when he decides he needs to step in and make sure that this boy has all the medical attention that he needs. So that was a neat growing point for me. And then we went to episode 8, where we find out that Nancy is on the welfare or web care, whatever it was called. Gadget likes Little Jimmy. Nancy working as a wage hog in a sweatshop. Alex has to let Nancy get arrested. Jimmy now hates the law, hates Alex, and goes running off crying into the night going, no! Let's see. Episode 11. Alex can't tell his dad who he really is. Dad recognizes Alex's chess playing techniques. And the supporting cast that really turns out to be Batman 66. And then I capped it off with, again, the second to last episode where Russell Murphy tells RoboCop, Alex, I know it's you. And the only thing he really asks him is, don't tell Mom, don't tell Nancy, don't tell Jimmy. And they had a really nice moment of a retired cop and a RoboCop. And it was touching. It was very touching. It was a good way to have closed that story off.
I very much agree with that.
Yeah. And that was my 6-pack challenge.
We did have a couple friends that did chime in. That Skeeter Slater basically said, never seen it, never heard of it. And now we banished him to rewatch RoboCop 3-7 times as penance.
Don't worry, Skeets. It's available to stream on every network right now.
Yep. And we also got Steve Condrick. He wrote, watched the first few episodes on Tubi a month or so ago. It's no movie, but got distracted by other series, so only a few in. And there is a smiley face emoji, so it sounds like he was at least enjoying it enough as well. Just got onto other better shows.
I hope so, because this was fun.
And I had a really good time. And for all the nitpicking we do, this is what we do. It's a podcast, yo. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when it first aired, but just, you gotta watch those expectations. This is not the kind of show that you might think it is, or maybe it is. It's got cheesy acting in it. Not all the actors are great. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, like, there's a certain level of acting in this, and as well, most of them are directed to be that way. But there are some standouts. Lisa Madigan as a character, Yvette was fantastic. Andrea Roth was fantastic. A lot of the acting was really good for when they could flex those muscles, and it felt like there was a show bursting to come out of here. And maybe if they got in a second season, maybe it could have gotten better, but I don't think the show really needed a second season. One season's probably good enough. So I think we saw it run its course, and hey, we had a cartoon follow up after this, so that's what we're doing next.
I want to say there's no bad RoboCop, but as we're finding, there is. This just wasn't part of that bad RoboCop. And I'll say this again on Sunday, if you watch the remake from 2014, this show is better than that.
By a mile.
It stays so much truer to the source material, much more believable for it being in 1994, and a lot more enjoyable and fun. There's not a whole lot to enjoy about the remake, but this, you could laugh, even if you're fucking laughing at the cheesiness and the campiness of it.
Exactly.
You're still enjoying it because you're fucking laughing. Like,
appreciate the goofy that this was for the 90s show that it is.
Yeah, because this was a dying type of show.
Yes.
They didn't do things like this much after that.
Syndication kind of tanked after a couple more years from this.
Well, just that type of TV show in general, the superhero type. They tried having that Nick Fury show with David Hasselhoff, which was
that's
terrible.
right.
And then Generation X or Gen X that had Matt Frewer as the bad guy that still couldn't save the damn show. So this, for what it was, without being a Marvel character or anything like that, was good enough to have more episodes than just the pilot.
Yeah.
Take that, Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel. Take some notes.
Well, this is before Sam Jackson was Colonel Fury. So I mean, Hoff was okay.
Don't hassle the Hoff, bro.
I love Hoff. I can't lie. I love him. Like, him showing up in Piranha was the best part.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I haven't got written down here. Predicts millennials.
Yeah, I kind of did. And I'm going to leave that in for this episode too.
Oh, the Red Femmes. That was the name of the episode with the angry ladies.
Oh, gosh.
Red Femmes. And where France bans the usage of the English language.
There was a lot of like Easter eggs thrown out throughout this, like the Amazon nuclear power plant, the Amazon war that was waging on, Like, just random shit from that newscast was just fucking tremendous. And one of the facilities in the background was a DeLorean Utilities Company, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, I missed that.
When they first showed that was the second episode. And that's where they also had a guy from Friday the 13th, the TV show, as a guest star, who was Dr. Young.
The old man?
The old man.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yep. Like I said, like there's great casting and guest stars galore.
Okay, yeah. I knew him from somewhere. That's awesome.
Yep. And then Provision 22 was the Gary and Wynn Davies episode.
Boner was on War of the Worlds.
Yep, that's true.
I don't know which season, probably the second, because I don't remember him being on there.
Oh, yeah. If you remember from episode 7, Nancy on a screen was listed as a housewife. And I wrote down, then what the fuck is Jimmy doing? Because he was working at a gas station.
Coming home smelling like gas and gas station sushi. God bless them. I mean, they tried telling certain stories here that were relevant for the time: classism, homelessness, gene therapy, and they almost had a good point, plot, show each time, but it's like they would always fail just slightly of making sense or making a good point. Again, like there's an empowerment episode for young ladies that also has some dressing scantily clad for no reason. You're like, okay.
Too true.
One step forward, two steps back. That was the 90s.
Yeah.
But it was more fun than the 80s. Hell of a lot more fun than the noughties.
Oh, I did write down one more of the news things. It's from the Mother's Day episode where they're talking about, next up, Mexico cracks down on illegal workers from LA.
That's right. I had that one written.
Kind of is a thing.
Another thing that I wrote down as not a joke, but it's definitely funny. In the last episode, I think it was, they have Jimmy dressed up as like Michael Dukakis.
Oh my God, that's right.
Same fucking tie, same jacket. And then they made reference to Ross Perot instead of fucking Michael Dukakis.
Yep. I did catch that.
Oh, it was so goddamn funny. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him, I'm like, why is he dressed like that fucking idiot from 80? Oh,
like they're like, say what you will, but like literally sit down with the show, have a couple drinks, whatever you're into, a couple hits, whatever. Sit back, relax, kick back, just watch a couple episodes. Do not try and binge like 22 episodes in like a couple of days like you would on, say, like a Netflix show. This show is not built for binging. It's really not. Highly recommend you take it piecemeal so you can split up the stupidity. Hey, if you're really into it and you really want to binge it, go for it. But I highly recommend you just take your time, just watch a couple episodes here and there, and you'll eventually get through it.
See, I gave myself a week to watch it, so I did do that binge watch, and I didn't find it to be that terrible.
I had already watched like part of it, but I had to get through like the last like 10 episodes in a crack, and I'm like, oof.
Yeah, that's where you like want to go to Uncle Cliff to find out the bits and pieces of it, the meat and potatoes, if you will.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, oh, okay, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Oh, second to last episode's nice. And that doesn't matter.
Yep.
That's where I was kind of myself at the end. Like, I don't want to take notes anymore. I think I pretty much picked everything I can pick out of this series.
Yeah.
It's not complex.
No. And what complex there is, it's really not much. There's layers, there's nice surprises here and there, but nothing that's like a riveting, oh my God moment. I didn't see that coming. No, there's none of that. And spoiler alert, can't kill RoboCop because they certainly didn't try hard enough.
That's true. Well,
Stitch tried, and he failed miserably because when he dropped him with a wrecking ball, he just left the wrecking ball. If you want to take out RoboCop, keep dropping the goddamn wrecking ball on top of him until he stops moving. Don't just hit him the one time and then I think he's dead. Let's go. We win.
That always works out. I think he's dead.
Never works.
That wrecking ball. God bless the stuntman that was strapped to that son of a bitch. On the opposite side of him, you could see it plain as day. A camera was built into that fucking thing.
Yep.
So you could like see the lens and everything where Alex's crotch would be on the other side.
Yeah.
Like go gadget penis.
Hey, they had to get that shot.
But yeah, you're gonna look for things like that, gags, Easter eggs, guffaws,
music videos over the end credits.
Don't know what that was about. It reminded me of the end song from Cry Wilderness. It's basically telling you, try as hard as you want. You're still not going to make it in life. Bye-bye. That's how that song made me feel at the end. Like I had no hope and I had no like desire to go on to the next episode.
I felt like I've heard better versions of that song anyway. It was like some Canada ripoff.
What was it?
I don't know. I don't want to remember. I'm trying to not remember. I'm trying to replace a song stuck in my head with a better song.
You got Herman's Hermits, Henry VIII.
No, I'm actually playing a song I shared with you, Beast in Black, Sweet True Lies. The things we do when we're not recording podcasts or things we chat about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been listening to fucking Emily sing Mother Crabber for the last 3 or 4 days. So,
hey, that works too.
My hard ass gangster rap sung by puppeteers.
Might as well play some NWA while you're at it too.
Oh God, I can't repeat it, but NWP from Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Oh. And with that said, thank you everybody for tuning in. This was RoboCop, the TV series from 1994. Hope you had a good time listening to it. And if you want to check out the show, there's definitely places to go. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.
I'd buy that for $1.